welcome to another exciting episode of Arise Africa this beautiful Friday morning. Yes, it's the 4th day of March. Yeah, it's the very first episode for the month, and we're glad to be with you. I am Boye Mark Anthony, and with me is no other person than the. Let me do the drum roll.
Thank you. Thank you so much. So how are you today?
I'm very great, very great. I think the cold last night was crazy because of the rain and all, and it's just like the rain doesn't want to even just wait. Like, okay, we're here, and just starting to full for sale. But
So do
it's
we
all
have different temperatures or do I say different temperature in the different parts of Warri, Delta State? Because I did not feel the cold.
Really?
I didn't even know
it
there was
even,
anything like
oh,
cold.
Oh, it's really cold to me.
Really?
For me, it was cold. You know, I live close to the river.
Oh, okay.
So
I get it now.
It's one of the reasons why I feel it a lot. Yeah, but it's all good.
It's all good. Absolutely. So how is the month of February for you? For many, it is the month of love, or it was the month of love.
Yeah.
How is it for you?
Yeah, not bad, not bad. February, great. We had some little wins as well. And yeah, because,
Really? You have to tell me about it.
No, I think after the show, so don't, so people don't start sending their account details.
I see. So we now have an idea of the kind of win it is. Oh yes, you're giving us what is. Well, we are set. We are prepared. Like we usually say, we want to give you the latest in what is happening in Nigeria, what stories made the headlines in the newspapers in this country, Nigeria. So we are going to dive into it, and of course a little bit of analysis here and there to let you understand some perspective about some of the stories right here today. So let's dive into the newspaper review session.
Yeah, we begin with Sunday Punch, and the main header there says new electoral law forces INEC to chip to chief the 2020.
Okay.
Yeah, and then also we have Jonathan can speak for himself, shouldn't be lured into presidential race. You know, there's also a big story there that probably they're trying to get Jonathan to run for 2023 presidency and all that too. It's all great. But then, anyways, then youths vow to reject money bags, ask Wike Bello to contest. We need to know the youth that are asking them to contest. But anyway,
I asked you in something. This is the period where we have a lot of pressure groups, even if they were not in existence before.
Exactly.
Because
all of,
of the 2023
election, just coming up, springing up from different locations.
So that's a good question. Who are the youths
that are asking for this? Anyway, let's move over to the next one, Chichi.
Okay, so we've got the Guardian newspapers, and it says fuel scarcity worsens as NNPC fails on demand promises. Marketers sell above 300 naira per litre. Ipman worst hit as depot owners Moman operate at loss. Naxima calls government stakeholders to find solution. And that's the major header on the Guardian newspapers for Monday. Yes, that was for Monday. And okay, we see soldiers there. And I think you can particularly see what's written on the screen.
But Putin and
we've got
then
Putin
the present
there.
governor, present president of I think Zimbabwe.
Zimbabwe.
Yeah, so showing that they are friends, and based on and now this is more like an advent of trying to make people understand that okay, Russia has always been part of Africa, trying to help Africa forces at some point in time.
I see Putin stayed in Tanzania
for 4 years.
For 4 years, training freedom fighters from 1973 to 1977.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah, so that's
a lot about
but you know,
the
all
war.
these are just making people to say, oh, you should be supporting Russia. basically. That's what probably is like. Oh,
So
these guys have actually helped
you would
Africa in
say
some.
some of these things are
Yeah,
propaganda.
yeah, that's just what it is because they're trying to make us understand that okay, the United States have come into Africa and they've caused a lot of havoc as well here and there. But Putin has been here at a point to help us and all that.
Okay,
Yeah.
I think I see Air Nigeria to fly before June 2023, says Concession Commission. Okay, I'm talking about Air Nigeria. Despite us saying Nigeria is still losing sleep over electoral act. That's a very interesting story. I'm sure in other newspapers we're going to see,
More stories, yeah.
developments. But I see Russia-Ukraine war. Putin puts nuclear deterrent on special alert. Okay, we're going to see more on those stories as we check out all the newspapers.
Yeah, we move over to This Day newspaper for Tuesday, I believe, and it says U.S. cuts off Russia's central bank from dollars transactions, and yeah, so like since the war against Ukraine, the invasion against Ukraine, the U.S. is really doing so much. Even the U.K. government too, they are doing so much as well. And then it wants Americans in Russia to leave immediately. FG to begin airlifting Nigerians trapped in Ukraine on Wednesday, and then Switzerland to freeze Putin others' assets. Then,
so I saw something like for the first time ever, Switzerland is no longer neutral.
Okay.
No, they used to be neutral.
Yeah, they are always neutral. But then when it comes to these things, I think the word police in US, you always want to get everyone to actually tell me where you stand because we're going to ask you just like we are asking them. So everyone just wants to be careful. And then I think we should actually go through that paper all through again. And then let's go down. It says climate change. Nearly half of humanity living in danger zone, says UN Secretary General. I think this is very serious thing that we should look out for. The climate change thing. During the time of the lockdown in 2020, everybody noticed a bit of, I think, a freshness in the air when there was no much movement and all that, cars moving and all that and all. So now the world is back to normal, whether we like it or not. Even if we say it's the new normal based on the fact that COVID is still there, but climate change is something that we should really take seriously, honestly.
The world is not normal. There's war.
That's
okay, so we're moving on now to the next paper, and that's for Wednesday. It says Nigerian Tribune. That's Nigerian Tribune, and it says constitutional review. Senate reps support independent candidacy, devolution of power. The story is on page 8, and it says reject immunity, life pension for presiding officers, diaspora voting. It also says move airport railway service from exclusive list to concurrent list. 45 clauses scale through both chambers to be transmitted to state assemblies. Senate passes 47 clauses. Reps pass 56 clauses. Lawmakers reject women elected bills. I have something to say. Senate approves financial autonomy for local council, state legislature, and judiciary. Okay, you can find that story on page 8. Sylvester Oromoni, Dowen College principal, weeps at coroner's inquests. All right, so you got table of voting pattern on 1999 Constitution review. Okay, so there'll be a lot of information there. To undergo 2 weeks medical checkup in London. That story is on page 2, and I think what PDP must do to win 2023 elections Istanbul. We're going to hear about.
Yeah, I think go check out what they need to do actually, because a lot of persons are tired of change. Anyway, let's move over to the next paper. But then I wanted to talk about the president, but then we'll not say that. We'll not do that. Well, I saw a post that probably later on I'll say it. And then
you still want
okay, that was I think the main that says Seplat ExxonMobil deal puts new oil law to test. Petrol marketers lament supply shortage as queue worsen. And this is actually
that's a major problem.
think
with now?
right now the fuel hike is crazy. Our bus driver was complaining because there was a point that a passenger tried to highlight and they were like, oh, 150. It said 15 naira or so, and they're like, no, oh God, I'm not taking 15 naira. I bought fuel for 220 today.
220.
Not take 15 naira for this place. I understand that if it was before, okay, no problem. But right now, you are going to pay the 400 naira, no, and this is what is happening, and it's crazy, honestly. Let's move over to the next one, please.
To the next paper.
Yeah.
We've got the Punch, and it says governors fume over falling FAC funds, carpet NNPC. And the story is on page 17. It says NNPC not meeting FAC obligation, but declaring profit, oil sector opaque. That's fire missing. That firm zero remittance shows Nigeria's bankruptcy. Keredolu. Fuel scarcity not abating. Well, this is government. You guys are government. You guys should deal with that matter. Nigerian fighters must provide $1,000 for ticket. Visa, says Ukraine. That story was you saw the story of a number of Nigerian
wanting to go into Ukraine
to fight
for them
for Ukraine. Public officers' children free to attend schools abroad, says reps. I'm sure it's in response to the fact that a lot of people are saying, why do you take your children abroad
and then you're not making this one work? And ASU is actually still on strike. You know, it's crazy because even during the week, the NANS representative, that's a Nigerian Association of Nigerian Students, the National Association of Nigerian Students, they met with the Minister of Education, and it was crazy. The man walked out on them and all. Although I did not, it's so painful. It's pathetic as well, because
a lot of people would give excuses and say maybe the NANS were unbearable, the members were unbearable.
The way they were speaking and all that.
All the same, you are elected by us. We chose you. Okay, not an election anyway. You were appointed.
He was appointed.
You were appointed anyway. But all the same, it's a responsibility. It's a responsibility. That is what you call dialogue. You need to be prepared to
let
face
them see reasons. You said, oh, okay, I get it. Picked some points. Like, okay, the only thing I see in this is okay, this is the recommendation you made, and then after that, every other thing he said nonsense. And then he walked out.
And that is the attitude a lot of people in government put up. They forget that they are the representative of the one who sent them, the one who appointed them. So I get shocked sometimes when I see this attitude, like, we are lords. You ought not to question us. You ought to take it the way it is. That's how it is. We're in this country together. Really painful.
Let's move over to the next paper for today, Friday, and it's the Guardian, and it says Nigerians divided as Buhari seeks further amendment. That's concerning the Electoral Act 2022. Provision is unconstitutional, says Sage. There is nothing wrong with it. Adegboruwa insists. Then Melai Kadiri orders urge National Assembly to ignore president. Are you kidding me? And then there is the man of the moment.
Vladimir Putin.
Vladimir Putin. Fear of potential enemies' domination. Spur Russia's invasion. That's what he's saying. And you know, I've read so much. I say read the big story on page 4 and 5 of the Guardian as well.
Okay.
Sorry, I think.
So we're going to run through the other papers really quickly. We've got very little time on this segment, so we're going to see Nigerian Tribune next. As it says, as federal government approves his extradition process, NDLEA structures Kyari's drug case to face 8-count charge with 6 others. The story is on page 2. Federal government reconstitutes team to renegotiate 2009 ASU agreement. Federal government has till March 31st to meet our demands, or we roll hour strike. That's ASU, and the story is on page 8. As fuel crisis, APC has lost control of governance as PDP and MC warns against price increases. They've been talking about it for a long time.
Yeah.
Okay, so.
And what I want to comment on is this NDLEA structural carriage drug case. I saw a post now that even the government has okayed its extradition as well, and
yes,
Carrie is really in a
big
mess,
big trouble,
big mess. And then also there's certain things too about the NDLEA that came up online as well. There was a shootout somewhere. They said they were going to get a drug lord and they were shooting in the market in Lagos, and that's also another cause problem. But then I think that's all we can take for the newspaper review. Okay, there's one last one, and it's this day. It says NMPC seeks to preempt Mobile on asset sale to Seplat. And then but oil multinational sold all its shares, not JV assets, to Seplat. And then NOC's action opens up possible legal tussle. All right, and then there's a picture there of Happy Birthday to Pa Adeboye.
That's significant.
Great one on, I think on the second. On the second as well. And
you could see it on people's DP and everywhere.
And that's one beautiful thing that I see, that the fact that when men of God are celebrated, when people are celebrated through Nigerians, not necessarily because they are men of God per se, but you see them making impact, touching lives. And when he said thank you, and the prayer he made to say thank you was incredible. Incredible.
I saw a story there about DCP, federal government, like corroborating what you said about federal government okaying
the Abakari case.
Well, I believe that's where it's going to end on this segment of the program. Of course, we're going to be back in just a sec. Just make sure you stay there. Don't go away.
Welcome back to Arise Africa. If you're just joining us, you missed the newspaper review, but nevertheless, we still have something nice. We just got into the segment of social media buzz, and we are heading, as Chichi likes to call it, the virtual streets. Yeah. So now, one very important thing that trended this week was a man that came up Chichi, and it was crazy because he posted and said that his sister reached out to him and that his child was flogged and beaten up crazy. You get, so I think let's get the post. And says, a teacher flogged my sister's friend, 50 strokes of the cane. I don't know if that was it's actually an exaggeration. He said the child can barely sit as we speak, a very small boy. My sister and her friend are back from the school after flogging the teacher and said the principal and everyone they could find this morning. It's crazy. And then just a follow-up to what he said too, and he's like laughing at that. Wait till you hear. They all had a meeting mocking the elder sister of the child and telling her that, "Shay, you went to call your mother. Let us see what she will do." Laughing out loud. And then it says everyone had to collect. Now it says then I'm just trying to just get this guy's point, and he said they went to the school to initially talk, but they met a gang up. Teachers had gathered to talk down on them for even coming at all, daring them with, "You came to fight, Abi," all the while hiding the teacher that did the actual thing. The principal rudely walked out on the mother. That was what happened, Chichi, and it was crazy.
Someone was sharing a story with me that's similar to this, where she went to the school when her child was flogged mercilessly, and what she experienced was the teachers ganged up again, just came on her and were shouting at her like as if they were like, more than this, we're going to expel your
Can you
child.
imagine?
We're going to send your child. Instead of giving a listening ear and trying to resolve it, what they did was to say, we'll send you out.
Okay.
But let's hear
What
some
people are saying, yeah.
replies. Let's hear what people think about this particular post, talking about Dakbo Adesuyi. It says, break the cycle of physical abuse. You going to beat up those who flogged your kid further entrenches the culture of corporal punishment and physical assault for dispute resolution. He said break the cycle of physical abuse. Well, there's a point there. No matter how badly treated you are, you don't take laws into your hands.
True.
Even though you are infuriated,
exactly,
you've got to calm
but you know
down
that's
and
why
think
the
about
guy had
it.
to bring up that other part of the fact that, okay, she was going there with the mindset that, okay, let's go talk about it, let's find out what happened, but then the school is already ready, like, oh, you don't come and be, oh, you can't fight Abby, that kind of worry stuff. And it's funny enough, we need to say it happened here in Warri.
So you cannot go to
it
school
happened
to
here
talk
in Warri,
to
this Warri.
you cannot
it happened.
you cannot go to school, for example, and talk to the principal or the teacher about your concerns. Is
Yeah,
that what you're
that's
saying?
exactly my point. It's crazy. And then the girl is blessed said, defending your kids against abuse is a must. Anyone who touches your child abusively must be reminded never to try such again, or you are a complete failure with capital letter F, and shouldn't think of bringing the child into this world. Anyways, I feel that this is very
Peter Parry says this isn't defense. This is retaliation, and there's a difference between the two of them. Defense is done immediately to repel an attack. Retaliation is done after that attack must have fully happened. It could be some moments after or later. So this one is condemning the act.
Yeah,
you ought not to have gone back to flog the teachers.
Then Carlo Nelson says, are you serious now? Flogging a kid 50 stroke of the cane? I don't understand you guys sometimes. Meanwhile, how else would the teacher get punished for doing that? The school will mobilize and stamp everyone.
But she physically assaulted my child in the name of flogging. Can't the teacher report the incident to me? Nonsense.
Anyways, then we'll move over to, I think this will be the last
that's the
one.
final one.
And it says, what they did to the child is wrong, but flogging other people that did no wrong is somehow. Imagine I'm a teacher in that school and someone flogs me on top something when I know sabi, the person go collect 100%. Basically, and that, I think this was why this guy also now said to us that, okay, this was what happened. They went there, but it's like the teachers actually ganged up and they were all waiting. Hence, everybody, they had to just get to beat everybody up.
Like what I was saying that in such cases, you know, the parents should, I don't know what the law says, I don't know, but what I'm thinking is instead of going to the school and flogging the teachers, what they should have done was to take pictures, because definitely 50 strokes of cane is not moi moi. You definitely see some marks on the child. You know, take the pictures, take it to relevant authorities, or if you like, because the teacher is also a human being, you could seek redress in the police station, the court of law, instead of going and flogging people. Because the truth is that is assault. True. And if those teachers decide to sue you, the teacher and the school decide to sue you, you will become the one who has committed an offense.
Yes, exactly. Instead of being become the one, the victim or whatever.
Exactly. So people should not do that. Don't take law into your hands, go and flog people, because the law says it. I mean, you need to see when I have lawyers in the studio talking to them, you know how it is. They tell you these things is because Nigerians don't like litigation. Litigation is expensive. That's why a lot of things are done anyhow. Otherwise, you do something like that, you may be sued. If it's done in a criminal manner, you may go to prison. But if it's a civil matter, you could spend as much as 50 million.
Okay, I think I like the sound
for
of 50
damage.
million. So let's try to encourage our lawyers. Very important. All right, we'll move over to the next one, and there it's a woman has been shocked after discovering that the female house help she hired 3 months ago is actually a man, Chichi.
Oh, especially if you have daughters. Oh my God!
Exactly what everybody's saying. Like it tore up the whole place. That was like 2 days ago when this was posted, and it was crazy, and everybody was talking about it. But then, you know, one good thing about the Nigerian virtual street is that we have different opinions. You get, and then let's see what people are.
But that's deception.
Yeah. Okay.
In the guise of being a female, that's something else.
Yeah.
Something else. We have to look at
But
it
it's trying to
from other
hustle.
perspective.
It's trying to hustle. It's trying to make money. It's trying to make ends meet. A lot of persons do. Okay, let's read what people are saying.
Okay, we got Prince Adeleye, right? Prince Adeleye says, I don't see much trouble here. Desperate time calls for desperate measures. He needs to survive, and there's no job out there. Rather than stealing, it's better to cross-dress and earn a job.
Do you agree?
No.
No. That's impersonation. That's what a Mirabelle Dynamite says. Yeah, these Chichi people. And it said, which is a crime. And a person that can pretend to be something else for 3 months is capable of greater crime. Evil is evil. Stop justifying it.
This is amazing. Well, I'm not surprised because everybody is disguising to earn a living. But this is dangerous. The kids, my thought exactly.
Yeah, everyone is
the
concerned with this.
Femo of Lagos said that.
Yeah, and then G Samito says, if this happened to me, I'd find out if he was ever rejected because of his gender. If yes, I'll let him leave. And then it says, provided he had been doing just the job he was asked to do. If there's been more to it, problem good deal.
Simple like says, so if they bathe together, he go rape them. You guys think guys they rape every girl they see? That nigga is just trying to, no, sorry about that. It's just trying to earn a living for goodness sake. If you don't like it, just tell him to go or leave him. Be considerate for once.
Yeah. Then Omotayo Johnson says, this is a good illustration of equity looks at the substance, not the form, to law students. I really wish we could get...
For me, it's a no-no.
Definitely
a no-no. Definitely a no-no.
I think that's all we can take for...
That is definitely all we can take on this segment of the program. We're going to be back for the crux of the matter. We're going to dive into discussing very serious issues, and I tell you, this one calls for a lot of participation because, wow, it's something we've got to really look into. We'll be back in a minute.
The Belgian imports into Man City have signed a new contract extension with the club, making prediction Chelsea and United. As Arsenal this weekend And Liverpool.
Zinedine Zidane knows that this is not the best time to talk about Salah. Liverpool have a very important game to play against Real Madrid.
Let him go to Barcelona.
I repeat, Mourinho will never accept.
Now you have so many attacking players in that team.
ABN Sports, showing live Tuesdays and Thursdays, 11 a.m. West African time on the African Broadcasting Network, ABN.
All about the Word of God.
Welcome to another episode of Soul Connect.
That you will set the captives free because the anointing is on you and you'll be a Holy Ghost troublemaker.
Because when you hear something and you say something and you'll do something, you'll receive something.
God can transition you to a place of influence and impact by the power of the Holy Spirit.
Join us on Soul Connect on the African Broadcasting Network, showing live every Thursday at 6 p.m. West African time.
Welcome back to Arise Africa. We have come to the crux of the matter. Indeed, it is a deep one, and it is something that is on the lips of a lot of Nigerians with concern and anxiety. We're talking about ritual killing in Nigeria, the scourge of ritual killing in Nigeria. In recent times, we've had a lot of episodes, a lot of incidents that Nigerians are beginning to question why. Why is this happening to our beloved country? Some examples are recently in 2022, some of the incidents that shook 2022, when a 20-year-old Jennifer Anthony was found dead in a hotel in just on New Year's Day, the day that's supposed to be exciting. She died with parts of her body missing, and it was said that her boyfriend, or it was alleged that her boyfriend, Moses Oko, was the one that murdered her. He was the murderer in a case that is suspected to be ritual murder, human sacrifice. Although he was later arrested, it was also discovered that his father was actually a lecturer in one of the universities in Nigeria. Imagine. Well, that sounds like, you know, from an enlightened home. And then there was another case of 32-year-old Hafiz Olalere, who's also a suspected internet fraudster. He confessed to killing his younger brother for money ritual purposes. He was arrested during a stop and search operation along Tumaga, Ikorodu Road by Lagos State. You know, the operative state police command. Now, the list could go on and on, not only in 2022, in 2020, in 2019. If you check out the stories on the web, you will be shocked at the number of incidents that have come to light. Just imagine the ones that have not. So to talk about this issue is our guest. He is an author. He's also a life coach. He is Njoku Johnson Obina.
My pleasure being with you.
We are glad you are with us.
Thank you very much.
Welcome, sir.
Thank you.
The things I just took up two amongst so many. So
yeah.
Feel listening to all these tales. How do you feel?
Sad. It's sad, more especially in this time and age. We are talking about 2022, for God's sake.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And come to youths, and youths. But when we look at some of this scenario, I want to look back. Who is a youth in the first instance? You see that the youth is supposed to be the life wire of any society. That force within which the community, the society, the nation thrives.
But now they are the ones.
But now,
involved.
For us to see majority of the youth, because I won't say all of the youths.
Yeah.
All of us seated here by God's grace are youths. So you see that a handful of these youths that are supposed to be, number one, the life wire of our society, of the family, of our churches, of our mosque, of our religious environment, the academic environment, the social environment, people that are supposed to be the productive force.
Yeah.
And now the retrogressive force. So it calls for a reconcile.
Yeah.
And you are saying the youths of today, the leaders of tomorrow, and how is this kind of person coming lamplight to become the leader of tomorrow? I doubt.
So sad.
Because it is by the preparation today, by what you put together today, that you can, stand on tomorrow. Obviously, we have the common language. You cannot give what you don't have.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And by the time these youths of today are building themselves into this channel of life, this dimension of life, then what do you expect? These persons are from homes. They are from a religious environment. They are from a cultural background that are supposed to be teaching the norms and value of life. And now, instead of being incorporated with these values to exhibit, to expand our society, and you see the opposite, the narrative is seemingly saddening. It's saddening.
All right, sir. I know you have so many things to say, obviously, with the way you started.
Yeah,
now, I would have asked, okay, what is ritual killing? But I think it's a bit, everyone knows what we're talking about already. So now you've made this point. So what is the actual root cause of this? What's the root cause of this? How did it get to this point?
It's
get
all right.
to the point
Let me still take you back a bit. When you have ritual, you want to understand the language ritual. Performed for something, for a purpose, for an intention. That is why it's called ritual.
Yeah.
Then the killing that is involved, which means
human
I
sacrifice.
am using this as a gateway to either get some favor or get some, you know, what do I call it, blessings, or more or less, how can I acquire that ego, that fame, that position that I require, okay, to fit in. So it is really where we begin to analyze the word ritual killing. So which means when we say ritual killing, we are now looking at a situation where we are performing this for a specific purpose. And of course, it must not be for an ideal purpose, because that is why we are all speaking about it here and now. Which means it has to do with sacrifice for negativity.
Yeah.
You are not bold enough to own your life. You are not bold enough to stand for yourself, for what you think you believe in, that cause for which you want to perform this ritual. If it were what I should work mentally to achieve, or physically to acquire, or spiritually to get, because that self-esteem, I have lost it. Because that ego, I have lost it. Because that, self-positioning to get that which I actually desire.
By my own strength.
By my own.
By my hard work.
It could not even be by my own. I want to reach out to a deity, a supernatural deity, okay, for which I desire this. And when you look at the desire, it is all selfish. Because if that intention, that desire, that purpose in itself, it is for the overall good, then I shouldn't get involved in this. Because I am taking the life of another for my own selfish gain. When it is a good intention, which means I am even giving my own life for the gain of all. That is why you will see some personalities. When I walked into the studio, you were talking about the celebration of an icon in our religious sector. And everybody internationally are celebrating this icon. He has given himself for the liberation and salvation of humanity, for direction, for teaching. And everybody is celebrating him because of one thing or the other that he has given back to the society. But this person that is involved in ritual, what is he giving back? Instead, he is taking and keep taking. So I ask a common question: is it for love or for lusts? There's a book I'm writing recently. I say, choose to challenge your life. You can't be better than this. Even you seated here, sir, challenge your life. You can be better than this. Ma, if you challenge your life, you can be better than this. I am challenging my life to be better for my family, for my society, for the nation to which I belong. You that is taking the life of another, you are looking at me right now. For what purpose are you doing that? Are you challenging your life to better the society? No, of course. Can your family be proud of you? Can your cultural background, your religious enclave be proud of you? They cannot, obviously. Irrespective of how you target, irrespective of the picture we paint. Some say it's because there's no job. Some say it's because I have nobody to help me. So if all of us here say because there's no job and we start killing, who will kill who? Who then do we, you can just imagine the broader picture. So it's really terrifying. So when you say, what is the cause of this? You begin to imagine when you say, because the government cannot provide job. Because nobody was there to train me. Because I don't have the wherewithal. And you begin to imagine, do you think everybody else you are killing or everybody else you are seeing, making it genuinely, had to go that way? None, not at all. So there are many factors to it. But like I said, if we begin to count, I don't think the time wire here would actually permit it. But primarily, the goal, the aim and objective of this young man is nothing other than flamboyant life that lasts for little while.
Wow. Yes, that's really a good point, really good point. But what I've noticed in previous years, we're well aware there were far and few cases in between, that we heard of ritual killings and all that. Okay. And most of the time in the past, it was because of, we've heard maybe when politics, it's on, at least from what we read, they would say it's, politicians, they've accused politicians, they finger them as people who were involved in, you know, ritual killings and all. But these days, it's so rampant. Just like you mentioned, even young people, the youths are deeply involved under the guise of Yahoo Yahoo Plus or whatever they call it.
Okay.
So what do you think has fueled the increase? What do you think has propelled this increase? They're so frequent. They are now on the streets. People are afraid. On the roads, people are afraid. In our local governments, people are afraid. So what do you think has fueled the increase? Why has it become so common?
It's all right. Just 2 days back, I went to a seminar somewhere, and as I was driving out of the streets, okay, I saw a convoy of about 15 cars, assorted, flashy cars. You see some boys stick their necks out of the rear doors.
Yeah.
You know, they sit by the side of the glass. And I imagine, I had to stop. They blocked me for close to 7 to 8 minutes. So I was just flashing the light. I knew, is this our Yahoo boys? So I kept calm. Under that situation, you use wisdom to manage yourself out of that. Okay? I was just looking at these children. Do you know their age bracket? Sir, it will shock you. 13, the one that is directly in front of me is should be between 17 to 19. I don't think that chap should be up to 20 years. So you begin to imagine yourself. This child should be in school by now. We graduated late 30s. But for the age of people going into school nowadays, before 2025, you should be graduating. So for this set of children, all packed in these 15 different cars, none of them should be out of school at this hour. Already you have a vehicle. Perhaps they have a building. Perhaps they have other landed properties. At this age, you have lived your life that you're supposed to live for 50 years in 5 years. So what else is there to live for? Nothing. So when you are asking, what are those things fueling it? You look at that political angle is a side of it, but I believe is the social norm.
Okay.
Most of them don't even know what do they want in life. What do I really want? It's just that peer group, as they join, as they mingle, okay? Some are still going to school. Right inside the school there, you start, what do you listen to? Who is your friend? What is your gang like? Instead of study mates, you have social media mates. And when they come on board the social media, what platform are you going into? Inside that phone, that laptop you are having, you have the good side, you have the bad side, and you have the ugly side. There are many persons that are making meaningful living out of the good side. Why do you now choose? That's why in my book I said, choose to challenge your life towards the right side, okay? And not on the negative side. So when you look at the political angle, it is still the youths that are involved. It is not the elders. So why should we, the youth, allow ourselves to perpetrate such heinous crimes against ourselves and against humanity? Some need it for power, obviously. But the power now, I don't want to just attach it to maybe political offices. There are some, maybe for the cultural side of it, our forefathers, you know, they gain grounds by rituals. And the amount of persons you could kill, okay, makes you the superpower as at that time.
Is that true?
Yes. To some of our old people then.
They say it's superstitious belief.
It's part of their superstition then, before the advent of Christianity and Islam. Or let me say, use the word religion. Okay? We had some of these play out. Even when you want to bury some, you know, monarchs then, there are stories that they must have some persons, either their slaves, go with them. So these are some other areas that is trending. And you believe me that even in some cultures, such things still play out. So that's why I say it's not necessarily for the money per se or the power per se. In some cultural background, these norms still play out. Then some, it is for the cleansing. They say, okay, for us to cleanse this land of certain evil that has befallen us over the decades, okay, we need this and this. It could be 1 head, 2 heads, or 3 heads, okay, to do the cleansing. So in such cases, it's not necessarily for the money per se, but for some other reasons. But when you begin to look at this, like I said in my opening speech, this is 2022 for God's sake. and we are still living like in 1800 or the early 90s. It is out of imagination.
All right, thank you very much. We can see that you have so much to say, and we are totally out of time. But I want to cast your mind back to something before I ask the question. Someone was saying online, Reno Mokri was saying that for Yahoo and probably ritual killings to end, parents, I think I want to just read that. But it said parents must stop having children as a form of pension for old age. That's one. And then he said the in-laws must stop seeing their daughter's husband as income source. So now I think what we're talking now is, or what he's trying to point out is, the pressure on these young people to make sure that, especially for the male child or whatever, to make sure that all these things work. So what's your view on this?
If you bring it from that angle, well, I would want to look at it. Yes, parents have their stake because they bring these children to life.
Because right now, sorry to say, let me just chip in. We have some parents that tell their child,
encourage them to go
your friends are doing this,
yes,
and I'm suffering. Why not go in and get me out of this?
It's like a way of life. It's like it's an acceptable norm, which ought not to. But coming back to your questions, yes, if you say, why this? Then I would say, categorically, parents have failed. Because if the child is the home is the first place where we nurture these children. So for us to have these, every of these ones we are looking at out there in the street, they are coming from a home. And in a home, you have the father, you have the mother, and you have relatives, you have elders. Then before you bring it to a cultural background. So the parents have failed. Then the culture itself that teaches morality have failed us. Then the religion, which was supposed to be the in-between between the family or the parents wherever they have failed, and the culture wherever culture have failed, religion has also failed us. Because you see some of these boys, even after amassing this wealth, they come and do thanksgiving in the churches or in our religious environment, and we accept them. They contribute money to building cathedrals, and we claim we are coming to worship God in such a place. That is arrant, something I can't even have a word to describe. So the parents have failed. Parents should begin to wake up to their responsibilities. You should be a friend of your child, because when we say the parents are encouraging even the children to go, there are more meaningful means of livelihood. Like I said earlier, you are a youth. I am a youth. You are a youth. There are other responsible youths that are doing something meaningful to bring about advancement of our society, to bring their family to a limelight, to become the pride of the society. Okay? You have youths that are in politics doing great. You have youths that are in all other spheres of life. Go to the bank, go to the law industry, go to the engineering, go to various sectors, even in the business, entrepreneurship. You have youths that are welders. You have youths that are roadside mechanics. You have youths that are even vulcanizers, and they are doing well. There's a young man in my environment. Let me just drop on this. A young man in my environment, okay? He does this. Do you know that from that vulcanizing work, when the young man was going to bury the mother, people like good customers rallied around him, and because he's a faithful young man, they made over 200,000 contributions. I know of a lady that gave that young man 50,000. When he returned back from that burial, a young lady said, I couldn't come. I just have a car lying down in my compound. Please, I am giving you the key. I was asking him, for real? Guess what? A Highlander Jeep. I said, because he's faithful in that his vulcanizing work.
Okay, but I have to, I've got to come in here because we're kind of out of time. I know you're so, like he said, you have a lot to give out with regard to this topic. So I want you to give a final solution, your last words, because, you know, you saw it recently when the House of Reps they called on the federal government to declare a state of emergency. So we're looking at solutions. What is your advice? What role should the government and agencies play in ameliorating the negative impact of the dastardly act, and how can society as well tackle these particular menace? So let's just
it goes back to the family.
Quickly round up.
It goes back to the family. Number one, let parenting be a true responsibility. Every father out there, every mother out there watching us live now, you ask yourself, where have I gone wrong? Where have I missed it? So, if as a father, as a mother, we are able to realize this, it will help us to wake up to that, a family responsibility. I must train my child in the way he or she should go, that when he is old, he will become a contributor, a positive advancer of the social environment, okay, to bring pride to my family.
What about the government and
yes, I'm talking about parents now.
Okay.
Parents now.
We don't have time.
It's all right. to bring what should they be doing? It's not just about mentioning parents should wake up. Then society, we are hearing parents wake up, society wake up. But if time would have permitted, I will say a little of where should they fix it. Then when you talk of the government, okay, government should wake up. Wake up to doing what? Fixing our educational system is priority.
Okay.
Like some comments I heard you make when I stepped into the studio. They bully a child, and even when you go to report that incident, you saw what transpired. Then the secular, the school system is supposed to come of these norms, okay, is fast eroding. So even the schools too have to wake up to their abilities, okay, and not you go to school, you find teachers trading, you find teachers doing something else than teaching. In those days, in our school days, we have moral instructions, okay. Nowadays, I don't think there are things like that. So and we have something like scriptural union and things like that. You have the minds of these young ones meaningfully engaged. Okay, then the government should provide jobs, opportunity, so that even when these children finish school, they have somewhere to fall back to. But they are looking at it that even when I finish school, I don't have anywhere to fix myself. Yeah. So even going to the school at all, that's where some of them say even education is scam.
Yeah.
Okay, you are not looking, there's no long-term programming of the system. So the systemic thing is also making them furious. When I spend my 6 years in secondary, I go 4 or 5 years in the university, and by the time I finish, I don't have anywhere. I start roaming the street. Let me start now to hustle the street and make my life. And that is
God right. You've got so much. But before we go, I just want to say this, because it's very important for everyone to know that what you do is your responsibility. Yeah. At the end of the day, we can blame government, we can blame people, we can blame background, but it's you. You will bear the consequences, because the consequences are not positive at all. They are usually negative. So it's all in your hands. Make sure that you do what is right. People, just like the examples you gave, people are still doing the right thing to get great results. Our country is free. There are countries that are not free, but our Nigerian country is free for you to become anything you want to be. I need to put that in.
Awesome. All right. Thank you very much, Chichi, for that. And we say big thank you, sir. Thank you. Like I said, we know that this time is not enough. So probably maybe later on we'll try to maybe fix up, and then probably for something we'll love to have you. Thank you, Mr. Njoku.
Thank you so much.
Obina. Thank you very much. Yeah, good to have you. All right, guys. Thank you very much for joining and staying with us so far. Yeah, it's still Arise Africa, yeah, but yeah, sadly we've come to the end of the show today. Remember, Arise Africa is open for sponsorship, so do well to reach out to us, and yes, so that this program can continue. Yeah, for those of us that are joining us as well, and just make sure that you can follow us as well on all our social media platforms. Thank you very much, and until we see you next time, bye for now.
Bye for now.
The brine, the Belgian imports into